This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Mm-hmm.
We're a podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
Ooh.
I meant to do this for the past 3 weeks and I keep forgetting. But I want to welcome, because we had a big jump in subscribers off of our Snow White review, our White Lotus reviews, and our Beauty and Black reviews, which is an interesting mix of people I see. And I love that for us. We really do talk about a wide range of things.
Multifaceted.
Like someone commented, we will give you T.S. Madison and T.S. Eliot in the
same breath. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what you get with us. So welcome to all our new listeners and to all our old in spirit and connection, but not in
something
age.
Borrowed, something blue.
Because our, the demo breakdown, the biggest chunk skews slightly younger than you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 25.
No.
I don't want to be in my 20s anymore. Not at all.
So yeah, welcome. This weekend is the first weekend of Coachella, and I just have to say, several people have asked me like, "Oh, you're not at Coachella?" And a few weeks ago, I went to a happy hour to have like a reunion with old coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people works at like a bread company, and she brought everyone like vouchers for free bread. So like I could take this coupon and go to like our local pavilions and get a free loaf of bread.
Pan.
If you told me that you have a free wristband for me to go to Coachella, or you can have this free bread coupon.
That was the lead-in?
Bitch, I will go to pavilions to get my free loaf of bread. When I tell you I have zero interest in going to Coachella.
I don't either.
And then seeing that there was like, yesterday was, because I know a couple of people like through social media who were letting me know they were going.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was like the first day people were starting to head out there.
Mm-hmm.
Or not yesterday, the day before, whatever it was, that it was like a nightmare getting onto the campsite. Like people were waiting for 8 to 12 hours.
Oh, no. There's no one I want to see that bad.
There is not a soul. Michael Jackson would have to be
reanimated, reconstructed. And
I would have to get
all
VIP.
All his joints in working order. Mm-hmm.
I'd have to get a helicopter into the venue with a private area with my own bathroom. Okay. And I would still be fussy about it. There is no way I would do. At this point in my life, the only person I'm going to go put in an effort to see is my girl Janet.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it can't be too...
There are limits.
And she knows. She has limits too. So she would expect me to have standards and practices.
She surely
just because y'all don't have standards, y'all have struggles. A lot of y'all are okay just struggling. I am not going to be uncomfortable. And not that I know Lady Gaga performed because everyone's posting about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that they broadcast Coachella live.
Uh-huh.
So you could watch the performance with better sound, better visuals, in the comfort of your own apartment, home, whatever,
club,
with your little snacks.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way. So stop asking me
Oh,
about these.
they can't even ask. The children can't ask.
I mean, but you should know better.
Okay, well,
I mean, come on. Would you ever ask me like, oh, are you interested in going to Coachella?
no.
Okay.
And you wouldn't ask me that.
No. I just think like it's so funny when people ask me like, oh, you're not going to go do this. Like, no.
I was so oblivious to Coachella. It was not even on my radar until I went out for a little bit last night, and the two places I like to go were kind of dead. But the bartender's like, you're not at Coachella? I'm like, oh no. Is that why it's dead? He's like, yeah, probably next weekend too. Oh, well.
Moving on, people continue to send us things in the mail. Our P.O. box is listed below.
Someone sent us some cat toys.
But I wanted to specifically call out that someone sent us cat toys. These two.
And they were addressed to me. No.
And they weren't addressed to the cat. So I don't know. But I have to say a funny story. And I think it's really sweet that someone, I'm presuming, meant them for Aggie.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's the one that.
Can you say Aggie's full name?
God, no, I got it. Agnew Pennywise 6 Bell Robinson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm assuming that the cat toys were for Aggie, and it's very sweet that someone did that. But Aggie has a history of
mental illness.
She is highly triggered by like plush toys.
Well, she's not used to that kind of stimulus
because she's always kind of been alone.
Well, we used to have her brother, and she hated him,
and I did too. So she and I got rid of his ass. But
my sister adopted him.
My sister-in-law adopted him, but then he died last year at the age of 6.
Yeah, he had a large heart. Apparently, the vet in Minneapolis said they'd never seen a heart.
They'd never seen a heart so large.
Ooh.
Gag, mama. Boots the house down.
Boots are dead. Boots the house down dead. Okay.
Boots the house down dead.
No, Denny was his name, or Deginald, as I used to like to call him.
Oh,
he was a sweet little boy.
I couldn't stand that cat.
Yeah, he was a handful.
His sister, Aggie, she drives me crazy too.
She's a needy girl.
But she has a history. I don't know what happened, but she gets so upset when we introduce a plush toy in the house.
Oh, first it's like she body slams it.
She does this thing for a while where she will body slam it WWE style. And this is not an exaggeration.
No.
And I would share a video, but I don't because I feel bad for her because she seems like distressed. So that's why I don't post it. But this bitch will attack the plush toy, body slam it, and then throughout the day, if we don't remove it from the home,
I usually have to hide things.
We have to either throw them away or hide them.
And she can't see where you hide them because she'll.
Yeah, because she knows where things are. If you leave it out, she will have these fits throughout the day where she'll
she'll run into the hallway and yowl,
scream.
Yeah.
Like it's really upsetting.
Like she wants to call our attention to this inanimate object that she doesn't know if she's killed or not.
Yeah. So,
and also those little toys, they look like, because when I'm wandering around in the dark, they look like large sperm.
They look like sperm. Yeah. I'm assuming they're supposed to be mice.
I think so.
But,
because they have really long tails.
But I don't want the person who sent them to feel bad because I do find it abusing. It's just that
find it abusing.
But after a while I have to put them away because she just loses her mind. There is one currently on floating around the house, and I feel like at some point during this recording we're going to hear her screaming.
Chapter 9 of my memoir, Amusing Abuse.
Moving on. So y'all know Toni Braxton,
bankruptcies
with an S.
Mm-hmm.
She kept a little secret from us.
Oh.
She got married last summer. Can you guess to whom?
What's that man she's dating? Fishman, Catmandu,
Birdman. Fishman, Catmandu.
Yeah, that's right. Birdman,
who started Cash Money Records.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
She married him last summer.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know how we found out? Because someone found the divorce papers. But
I thought they were going to see tax documents.
Wow. Damn.
Okay.
But what's interesting about the divorce petition is that Toni Braxton filed for divorce 2 weeks after they got married.
Okay,
Brittany. But
yeah,
they also signed a thing saying that they were going to not do it. So
What?
she filed, and then they had to file something else saying that they're taking it back. So they both signed this. I don't know the terms for the documents in the process.
He divorces me. He
I
divorces
know,
me not.
I know the process of getting a divorce. I've looked it up, but I don't know how to renege on it. But
Okay, keep that in mind.
Yeah. So they are technically still married, which is odd because, you know, we're very familiar with Toni, and on Braxton Family Values, she was very open about her relationship with Birdman, but kind of downplayed it like they're just friends. But of course, Tamar kept blowing up their spot like, I bet they're going to get married. But I follow her on Instagram, and she's pretty active, and she posts a lot of personal stuff about her kids and like her ex.
Sure, they all love that.
And, you know, she'll post like, you know, because I think her oldest just graduated college and the other one just graduated high school, and she'll post that with the dad. And so, you know, she's pretty active. And
she's pretty active for someone with lupus.
You've never seen Birdman in any of her socials.
No.
So I wonder why she married him to then never really be with him anywhere. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. Something else I found interesting that you introduced me to through a friend of ours. And I'm just going to read this.
Okay.
You may say he's eccentric. I will admit that he's quite different. You may say he does crazy things. He works hard for the money that he brings. Bad and thriller. He's still the man in the mirror because he's good to me, and I know. Yes, I know that he loves me so because he is my brother.
Yes.
Toya Jackson has a song called He's My Brother
from 1990, and she has more than one brother, but you know who she's talking about.
But clearly she's talking about her brother Michael. And this song is, I hate the word cringe, but it's just like, well, you said it while you were playing it for me. I wonder what Michael thought of this song.
Right, like, oh, LaToya.
He's like, girl,
can you imagine, Michael?
I'll give you the $50,000 they probably bribed you with to record this. Like, please don't make this song.
Please don't put this out in the world. It's never going to go away. But you know, for all of the things we know about the Jacksons, neither of us knew about that song.
No. And I'm familiar with some of LaToya's discography, and I don't know how I didn't know this song. But yeah,
Buried. Yeah, that was.
If people want to be a little uncomfortable, look up "He's My Brother" by LaToya Jackson.
Yeah, because we did a Sunday Fun Day last Sunday, and you were already there, and our friend was driving me there, and he put this song on, and I was gagged, and then immediately played a bunch of Pebbles. But
Bo was playing Pebbles.
Yeah.
Oh God,
the music of my youth.
Bless his heart. And our friend Bo has very like urban R&B, like 90s vibes, but he's this white guy from Canada.
Yeah.
Who, if you saw him, you wouldn't think that he likes that kind of music. But moving on to other musical royalty, did you see that Madonna confronted Elton John?
I thought they patched things up.
Well, they did, but she went to SNL when he was there.
Oh, okay.
To confront him and like bury the hatchet, and they did. And I thought that was nice. Okay. I'm glad that they were able to do that.
Is he going to be involved in the Confessions on the Dance Floor Part 2?
Oh God, I hope that album is decent.
Well, I love the first album, but that's the lyrics on some of them songs. No.
I like Confessions, but I do think some of the songs and the lyrics are a little.
But I mean, Hung Up is that's my banger.
Hung Up, Get Together are my two favorites from that album. And Sorry is pretty good.
Forbidden Love.
Yeah. Okay.
Administration, bills and loans.
I have to be careful. Okay, never mind.
What?
Sometimes I say things thinking, it's just going to be on Patreon, but then I just realized that this is not for Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm forgetting what I said about someone earlier.
You're code switching.
Oh, no, that was on Patreon.
You're platform switching.
I have to platform code switch sometimes because I'd be talking shit on Patreon. Okay, moving on. I said I would, I already posted about this on our community page on YouTube, but I talked about it on our podcast. So just to remind people, we reviewed episode number 204 is The Coffee Table.
Yes.
And in that movie, the main character gives his email address. So I had said during that review that I was going to email him. And I did. I sent Jesus from the coffee table, the quote unquote killer. Well, it's like murder suicide. Well, accidental manslaughter suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I sent him an email. I said, "Hi, Jesus. We know you're dead, but we really enjoyed your movie and reviewed it on our podcast. We told our listeners we'd let you know and see if you had anything to say. Take care, Nick and Joseph." He responded. He said, "I have many podcast friends, and thank you for the kind words. Lately, all I've received is hate for the accident."
What are podcast friends? That's very Wendy Williams.
It's very windy.
But what?
But I thought that was really cool.
That reminds me. I don't know if you said, remember Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey?
Mm-hmm.
There's a like God's phone number or somebody, and I remember because I was in high school and that came out, and everybody was calling that number all the time. It was a real number.
That's why now everything has to be 555 5555. Okay, moving on. So there's some Cannes Film Festival news.
Cannes, yeah, they announced their lineup. They sure did. Well, they announced the competition, like 19 competition films, I think, and then in certain regard. So the sidebar panels still have to announce, and then there are almost always 3 to 5 additional features that join the main lineup and stuff. So I think everybody was a bit surprised because there were a lot of huge titles that people were expecting to be there that weren't.
Like what?
Like Lynn Ramsey's new movie with what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lewis.
Jennifer Lewis.
Remember on Snatch Game when Simone portrayed Harriet Tubman?
Yes.
And RuPaul said something about Jennifer Lewis, and Simone goes, "White folks just taking everything." And RuPaul's like, "I think you're thinking of Jennifer Lawrence."
Yeah.
I'm talking about Jennifer Lewis.
Jennifer Lewis. Hey, it happens. I think last night I tried to say Cynthia Nixon. I think it's Cynthia Erivo.
Also, I want to remind people that Jackie's Back is a really good movie, and Jackie Washington Day is coming up. So
that is true. But that is one that I was missing out on. But there are a few. Oh, and then Jim Jarmusch's title was rejected, and it stars Cate Blanchett and Charlotte Rampling. So
rejected.
Yeah,
like they didn't select it.
He submitted it, and then they said no. And I think just about all of Jarmusch's films have competed in Cannes, so that is kind of shocking.
They're tired of his ass.
I don't know, but I'd rather see that than some of the. I'd rather see that than this new goddamn Wes Anderson movie, The Phoenician Scheme, that's going to be there. I am so things that are exciting, I guess. The new Dardenne brothers. Ari Aster is going to Cannes for the first time in competition with Eddington. Julie Ducournau, who did Titan, has Alpha. The History of Sound is from Oliver Hermanus, who's a gay South African film director, and Paul Mescal, and I forget who else are playing gay. What else? It's Sergei Loznitsa's Two Prosecutors, Kleber Mendonça Filho, gay Brazilian director, excited for his new film, The Secret Agent. Kelly Reichardt has The Mastermind. I guess I'm excited for Joachim Trier. There's a German woman named Masha Shalinsky, and apparently Berlin had offered her a competition slot for her new film, which has been retitled Sound of Falling, and Cannes squirreled it away from them. So I'm glad that they held up to their bargain and gave her a comp slot, at least after playing those kind of games. Of course, I'm excited for The Richest Woman in the World. It's out of competition, but it stars Isabelle Huppert as... remember I watched that Netflix series about Liliane, is it Bettencourt? Is that her name? Oh, yeah. Cheated her taxes. Mm-hmm. These crazy rich people. I always need more. I'm always curious about what ends up in the Cannes premiere section, because you just know that some of these filmmakers thought they were going to get a comp slot, and they found out the other morning that would not be the case. And this year we got Fatih Akin and Sebastian Lelio stuck in there, as well as Kirill Serebrennikov, who's the Disappearance of Joseph Mengele film. For the past year, there have been news sources that said that was promised a comp slot, but there you go. Also, a new animated film from Sylvain Chomet that is in a special section. But more to come. But I, of course, am always excited to go and happy to get this poo-poo platter of cinema. lot of actors. Kristen Stewart's debut was not announced yet. Maybe
You
that'll
mean her directorial
debut. Yeah. But Scarlett Johansson and Harris Dickinson both directed movies that are going to be there.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Well, I'm sure more to come.
More to come.
All right. 5 on the black hand side. 5 black filmmakers who are not Tyler Perry. Who do you have first?
Oh, sorry, I have to, you pivoted so quickly. I was still basking in the glow of Cannes. 5 on the black hand side. First, I have Jeymes Samuel, who's musician as well. I believe the stage name is The Bullets. I'm not familiar with him as a musician, but he got a lot of attention for his debut, The Harder They Fall, which had a fantastic cast, which was kind of a neo-Western, which I didn't love because I thought that the narrative was a little bit like I predicted absolutely everything that was happening, but it's well worth watching. I believe that's a Netflix release. And then we reviewed his last film, which I thought was quite daring and interesting. And I think I liked a little bit more than you did, The Book of Clarence, if you remember that.
Next.
Prentice Penny, who is...
That's a great name.
A great name. He directed many episodes of Insecure, and I believe wrote them. We reviewed his to date only feature, which was called Uncorked. Do you remember that with Mamadou Ati?
Yes, where he's the Sauvignon.
Yeah.
Sommelier.
Sommelier. Yeah.
Sauvignon.
The Sauvignon.
Chloe.
He's the Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah.
The Chloe Sauvignon. I tore that word up. Sommelier.
Yeah, Uncorked, if you haven't seen it. I believe that was a Netflix release as well. But yeah, that was a great film. But lately directed a mini series. I think it's 3 episodes, Black Twitter, A People's History, which I was meaning to watch, but I haven't yet. So yeah, Prentice Penny.
Next.
Calmatic, who also I guess I had a theme on the brain, rapper, musician turned filmmaker. His 2 features to date are remakes of classic films, neither of which I think... he remade House Party, which I think we both liked a lot more than the general public. But I think it's worth a watch. It's a weirdo take on the classic film / franchise. And then he also remade White Men Can't Jump, which we also reviewed.
Next.
Ali LeRoi mostly works in television, but had a film, I think it's 2021, called American Refugee, starring Erica Alexander and Derek Luke. And the plot sounds pretty creepy because it's about the American economic system crumbling in this black family that is kind of locked themselves inside. But it sounds like it was a few years ahead of its time. He also directed and I haven't seen this, but it sounds interesting, called The Obituary of Tunde Johnson. And it's basically a Groundhog's Day narrative where this person gets killed by the police and keeps having to relive that day.
Oh, I feel like did I watch that trailer? That sounds very familiar to me.
And then this is probably an ironic entry in this section. Tina Gordon, who Tyler Perry produced her debut and then proceeded to put his name all over everything and not hers, the director, which was Peoples, which we did see with Kerry Washington and Craig Robinson and David Alan Grier.
I watched that movie.
Yeah, we went to see it in the theater.
Oh, I don't recall.
It was funny, and it's a comedy.
Okay.
But I think people mistakenly thought it was a Tyler Perry film, and it's not. So this is
Okay.
this is also something that he has done to people that the very few people that he has given money to is commandeered the vehicle, sir. But she has gone on to, she directed Little with Issa Rae and Marseille Martin, which was cute.
Mm-hmm.
And her last feature I did not see, but it was called Praise This.
Well, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the restaurant section. So you made deep fried eggs.
Okay, so I was at that Milk and Honey place in Virginia, and their menu made me salivate more than the actual food I did get.
There were several many comments of people saying that you didn't go to a good location.
I went to the Raggedy. I didn't know. I'm not from there. Anyway, again, the staff was fine. Everybody's nice, but that fried chicken sandwich was not it for me. Anyway, they had appetizers. Oh my God, they had cheesecake pancakes. You know, I could make that too. They had these fried deviled eggs, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be diabetic. But I'm like, I can make that. And I did. And they were, they felt like there was food that was doing too much.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down, so you just want to be fat. Because... Well, were they good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because basically
deep fried anything.
Well, because basically it's just a deviled egg, but then it's breaded.
Mm-hmm.
So like you take the boiled egg white case and dip it in egg and like breadcrumbs.
Egg and flour and breadcrumbs. Egg and more egg. It's egg on egg crime. Yeah.
And then it was very like salty, but like not in a gross way. Just like, ooh, I am going to be bloated and tired after I eat this.
Mm-hmm.
My hands are going to swell up and I won't... I recently started wearing a watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't get this watch off. I'm not gonna be able to get this watch off.
It would be a minute before I make those again, but they were tasty. I'm glad I tried it. Yeah.
And then you made olive oil chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
And because we were I wanted something sweet, and then you're like, well, let me try to look up like a more reasonable, like healthy-ish alternative to chocolate chip cookies. And I have to say, I really like them.
They were pretty good. Well, I used natural almond flour, which is a little more coarse than like that. You can get a finer blend, I guess, and then coconut sugar, and then olive oil.
So they're soft. So that, you know what they taste like to me? Those soft, like those cookies that taste like muffin tops, kind of.
Yes, yeah,
but a little more gritty. Not as sweet, but then there are chocolate, like milk chocolate chips in them. So there is some sweetness with the milk chocolate, but I like the texture. I like that they're soft. I like that they're not too sweet, but they're like kind of, because there's no butter in them.
Well, no, olive oil, yeah.
But they do taste kind of buttery and sweet and salty. So yeah, if that sounds interesting, then I'm sure people will comment and then I'll post the recipe. But
olive oil, you can't go wrong with olive oil.
Lastly, I received a bunch of messages about Erewhon, the fancy Southern California grocery store chain. The headlines were like, Erewhon shuts down for vermin infestation.
Where? Which one?
So then I read more about it. It's the one in Santa Monica. It's not the entire store that got shut down. It was their tonic bar, the place where they make those $20 smoothies, like the Hailey Bieber smoothie.
Great.
It got shut down temporarily because they had roaches.
Ooh. Well, I mean, they are everywhere in LA.
But I have to say, yeah.
Not in this house. Not in this current house.
Not in this current house, no.
We haven't had any roaches in here.
But, I mean, roaches are hard to...
They're hard to get rid of once you have them.
Yeah. But, But the headline was so salacious. Like, Erewhon location gets shut down for vermin infestation. It wasn't the entire store. It was just
those people are like, we better bring in some radiation.
I mean, y'all charging... There are entire Instagram pages dedicated to just making fun of the prices. They sell like a $30 ice cube.
Yeah, and I feel like that shit's just going to get worse.
Or they'll sell like peeled oranges for $15, or they'll sell like a single strawberry for $10.
Buying peeled, peeled oranges. I mean, that shit goes bad right away because it's natural protective mechanism, the skin.
Okay, moving on. There's something to the sorry to this man section, but not really, because it was me.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what review it was. Oh, maybe it was the drop review where I said that 8 p.m. seems like really early to send a kid to bed because wouldn't they wake up early? And I should know this because I understand like
Circadian rhythms.
Well, no, it's like brain activity, the people say sleep is required to process like memories and like being stimulated, right? So kids are overstimulated because they're absorbing all the new things in life.
Again, unless you drug them.
And so they do require a lot of sleep. So I think fundamentally I understand that, but but what I said was if you put a kid to bed at 8 p.m., won't they wake up at 2? I was also thinking, don't kids always fight sleep?
Oh my God. My parents would try to put me to bed when I was a kid and I have a good memory. I would be so upset. The sun's still out and when the daylight savings and it's lighter later. Oh, I was so upset.
So that's what was on my mind when I said it but every kid I've ever known, they don't want to go to bed.
No.
So then I was thinking, well then shit, then I'm going to put your ass to bed at midnight and then you just have to wake up at 6 to go to school. But there were a lot of comments and, from people who actually have kids saying like, no, it's like you want to put your kid down because like they need the sleep and
you need alone time.
And then you need alone time. And also you put them to bed at 8, but then it's like they get up to go to the bathroom and they want water. And so then they usually don't go to bed till around 10. Ugh. But I really appreciated all the feedback.
I mean, we lock our cat up at night.
Yeah, but even with her, it's like I can't lock her up too early.
No.
Because she'll get mad and shit in there. So it has to be between, it can't be earlier than like 11.
Sure.
Because she seems not to like that. But the problem is when you're out of town, because I'll go to bed before 11.
Yeah.
But I know I can't lock her up. So then I'll fall asleep.
Quandary.
And then she'll crawl in the bed with me, which I don't like. And then at like 3 a.m, she's tap dancing on my head.
Yep, she does that.
Okay, films released we didn't cover. 1-to-1, John and Yoko.
Guess who? It's a documentary about John Lennon and Yoko Oko. Yoko Ono, directed by Kevin MacDonald, who's directed many films and documentaries. He did that doc on Whitney. Well, several people have done docs on Whitney, but he did a big one. Sam Rice Edwards is the co-director. I mean, I guess I would watch this. Whatever. It was at Venice. I missed it there.
Next, Sacramento.
Sacramento, a place I don't want to go and a film I didn't want to see. I would watch this. Kristen Stewart and Michael Cera are in it. It's directed by actor-director Michael Angarano. And it's about a road trip from Sacramento to LA, I believe.
The Uninvited.
Walton Goggins. People must have been holding on to stuff because all these little things that he's done are being released around the time of White Lotus. And this was another feature from last year that's just getting a theatrical release, directed by Nadia Connors.
Lastly, Zero.
I think we were going to watch this and we didn't.
I don't recall.
It's because Willem Dafoe, I think, has a small role in it.
Oh, it's like they're overseas.
They're in Senegal, maybe?
Yeah, yes.
And I think it's about two men whose like bombs are strapped to their chests and they have 10 hours to find out why or something. It's directed by Jean-Luc Hubulot. And I know Gary Dourdan is one of the stars. You remember him?
No.
That light-eyed, light-skinned man who's in some music video of Janet's. He's also in Alien Resurrection.
Hold on.
Gary
Dourdan?
Yeah, Dourdan.
Oh, he's in the Again video.
Okay. See?
He kind of looks like if Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz had a kid.
They did have a kid.
A boy
child.
He would grow up to look like Gary Dourdan.
He'd look like Zoe's brother.
He'd look like Zoe with a haircut.
Zoe.
Okay. Projects of interest. Is someone remaking Carrie again?
As a mini series, and it's Mike Flanagan, who's the premier Stephen King adapter.
Oh,
So that could be interesting.
okay.
I mean, I didn't hate Kimberly Pierce's rehash with Crowe, Grace Moretz, and Julianne Moore, but I think, times have changed. Now it feels like a superhero origin thing.
And then on Patreon this past week, we continued to review RuPaul's Drag Race Season 17. We just reviewed the Lip Sync Lollapalooza SmackDown. And then, of course, next week is the finale. We also reviewed the film Kill Your Darlings, starring Harry Potter. Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituaries section.
Entries?
Yeah.
Oh, who else died?
There's an actor named Mel Novak, who's best known for movies like Black Belt Jones, Game of Death, and An Eye for an Eye. He was also known for doing his own stunts. He looks like, in his Wikipedia page picture, oh my God, who's the gay man who was like the Mexican psychic? My mom would send me his horoscopes, and now I just forgot his name.
Yeah, we watched
and we reviewed his documentary,
Mercado.
Walter Mercado. Yeah, he looks like Walter Mercado.
Mel Novak.
So goodbye to Mel Novak. He was 90 years old.
Oh yes, I recognize this face.
Yeah, but he lived a long life, and I hope he enjoyed.
Because he was from somewhere. His real name is Milan Mrjenovic.
Oh.
Oh, it says he was born in Pittsburgh. Well, his relatives were not from Pittsburgh. Anyway, Black Belt Jones is great if you've never seen it.
Next, an actor named Jane North died.
Jane North.
He was known for the TV series Dennis the Menace.
Okay.
He was 73. Lastly, the actor Nicky Cat died.
Yeah, that was surprising to me.
And I don't know who this is, but apparently he's known for Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, have you never seen Dazed and Confused?
I'm looking at him. He's a very handsome man. But I don't recall him.
Yeah, Linklater used him a couple times, I think. Parker Posey's just a small role, but she's pretty damn good at Dazed and Confused. Yeah, he's in Sin City. You've seen him.
Okay.
That's funny. What did I watch recently with him? I was looking him up. I don't know what he died from, though.
Oh, well, I didn't do that research.
Oh, I think I'd rewatched Suburbia. Oh, no. It was that Alicia Silverstone movie, The Babysitter. Yeah, he was only 54.
Oh, yeah, he was young. He died in Burbank. Free parking. Oh. Okay, the secret film this week was your choice.
Yes.
And you chose the 1973 action crime drama film, The Spook Who Sat by the Door, directed by Ivan Dixon. It's based on a book by Sam Greenlee. What is this film about? A black man plays Uncle Tom in order to gain access to CIA training, then uses that knowledge to plot a new American revolt. Why did you choose this movie?
I've been wanting to watch it for a while because it has I've known about it for a long time too, but for a long time it was hard to get a hold of, and it has a reputation for many reasons. And this felt like a great film to watch with you and discuss. It's directed by Ivan Dixon, who I think you can rightly classify The Spook Who Sat by the Door as blaxploitation, but it doesn't really feel like that. It feels
more elevated than that.
It is more elevated than that. But he has a classic blaxploitation film that he directed too, called Trouble Man, if you've never seen it, which has great opening credit sequence as well. And if you're interested, I own it.
You're speaking to me directly?
Yes.
Okay.
You specifically.
Your makeup is terrible.
But I know Mr. Dixon better as an actor, and I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, there's a nice new 4K restoration out from Criterion, the 1964 film Nothing But a Man, directed by Michael Romer. Ivan Dixon and Abby Lincoln are the stars, and that is a fantastic film. He also is in the original adaptation of A Raisin in the Sun. But anyway, he kind of shot himself in the foot, much like Melvin Van Peebles did as a director with this film, and which was yanked. the novel got a lot of attention, which I had a hard time getting published, and then this film were kind of unceremoniously yanked out of theaters, and the reels misnamed on purpose and hidden. I think because of the content of this film, which, you know, watching it in today's standards, it seems ahead of its time, but it's the authorities thought this was dangerous.
Oh, wow. Well, I can see why.
I can too. I mean, it's about Black radicalism, and I think that it would probably scare people in 1975.
So
73, sorry.
This was very interesting. This book kind of had a little burst in notoriety because the now dead rapper Nipsey Hussle was doing a set of interviews and talking about books that he reads, and this was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's provocative, timely. It's yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I'm sure the book is a very interesting read.
Mm-hmm.
The film is lacking in some ways to me.
Yeah, and I don't. It feels like a time capsule as far as filmmaking goes of the time and place in which it was created, and strangely for the provocative subject matter, it is kind of lacking in tension, considering some of the significant violence that happens in the third act of the film.
So the story is about, how do I frame this? So there's a senator who is up for re-election, and he's told by his campaign advisor that he's
lost the Negro vote.
Yep. So he says, what can I do? And then one of his assistants goes, well, maybe you should introduce basically like affirmative action to the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And, which is so crazy. Like, let's not try to improve like the lives of Black people in your state. Let's just like get a Black CIA agent.
And that's what the title refers to, is affirmative action. Is that, well, spook is of course a slur, but also means spy, right?
Right.
But by the door means they put this person in a place of high visibility superficially, so that you see them and think that they're progressive.
So we immediately cut to the CIA training program, and we see that there were a bunch of Black men selected to go through the process.
10 of them.
Well, we're told there were like hundreds.
But the 10, the best in their race.
Right.
Yeah.
But then the ones we meet are the 10 who were like the best. And then we quickly learn that there's one in particular who seems like he's actually going to make it. Because originally they were just going to like offer, like get a lot of visibility. Like, look at what we did. We offered 100 Black men the chance to be in the CIA. But then, of course, they weren't going to actually let any of them become agents. But there is one man, Dan Freeman, played by Lawrence Cook,
Mm-hmm.
who is, the whole Uncle Tom thing is like, saying it in the premise makes it sound like it's such a big part of the story. But actually, I don't think that that's really fair. He's just kind of keeping his nose to the grind, and he's not participating in socializing with the other Black candidates in the initial like sort of training.
Well, because he's also smart enough to realize that they are being recorded and monitored everywhere.
Right.
Because he gets confronted by a trio of them, and they're like, "How come you don't hang with us?" And they're talking shit, and he's like, "You shouldn't talk behind these white people's backs because they're probably listening."
Right. So no one gets selected except Dan Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
So then we find out that, immediately we fast forward 5 years
Mm-hmm.
and find out that he worked for the CIA for 5 years, and that basically he was like their trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So hence the title of the movie.
The token Black man.
Exactly. So after 5 years, he tells his boss, I took like a better paying private gig in Chicago working for like some social services group. So I'm out of here. And his boss says, okay, well, sorry to see you go because you've been a tremendous asset, but good luck to you. And like, there's always a spot for you here if you ever want to come back. But then immediately his boss goes to another subordinate and says, y'all need to like keep dibs on him, spy on him, bug his shit, do drop-ins, all that. Okay, so then we moved to Chicago because the training was in DC. So now that we're in Chicago, Dan Freeman he meets like some gang members. I think they're called the Cobras.
Mhm.
And he basically confronts them saying like, you guys could be using spending your time more wisely helping the community. And basically he tells them, I can train you to be freedom fighters. And he teaches them all kinds of things like how to make bombs, how to shoot guns, judo chopping, how to steal.
I don't know that the judo was necessary, but that felt very much of the time.
And then this aspect of the story feels like the movie we reviewed called The Order with Jude Law and Nicholas
where
Hoult.
you have these racist whites doing kind of the exact same thing, robbing banks to fund their ventures.
An arsenal in their ventures.
And get the weapons. Yeah.
So that's happening. And then all of a sudden there is a shooting, like a young black man gets shot and a riot ensues.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see tensions rise within the community against law enforcement.
And it's before that this group is able to kind of unleash their scheme, because they're growing cells basically in 9 other cities, I think, to have kind of an uprising.
And so the film just ends. It ends with this riot. There are the little things that happen, which we can get to, but like, yeah, I will say that I was expecting a lot more.
Based on its reputation?
Yeah. And I think that in the hands of a more competent filmmaker, maybe, or I think this could be redone as a series.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you could spend several episodes just talking about this sort of what we would now call affirmative action within the CIA, and how political it was, and how, like this agent, what was he even allowed to do? We never saw him do anything.
No,
he literally graduates, and then we flash forward 5 years.
But what feels dangerous is it takes itself seriously and is very kind of cutting and not exactly satirical with its criticism. Unlike, say, something, you were in the room when I was watching Amazing Grace starring Moms Mabley, which kind of is doing something similar, where they have this dummy, like he's basically a ruse, this black man who's running for, is it mayor? And basically it's as a ruse to draw votes away from the person that they really want to win in this town. And Moms Mabley ends up blackmailing this man to actually run.
Yeah.
And have like black representation and power. But that felt, like we had to be constantly reminded that this was a comedy that you don't really take seriously. The Spook Who Sat by the Door, I don't feel that at all.
No, I mean, it's not even satirical.
No, it is. I mean, there's stuff that feels over the top and maybe of the period. But I do believe that people talk this way still. Like the white men in the CIA say such like outrageous shit, but based on where we are right now in 2025, it does.
So I think that I wanted more of like this process of training these black men, knowing that they really had no intention of letting any of them graduate, but the one does. And then what was he allowed to do? Like, I would have loved to have seen that. Then one of the more frustrating aspects of the movie is that, okay, so you have this black CIA agent who decides to quit, move to another city to do this social services thing. And then we hear you say, we're basically going to spy on him. And then for the next hour of the film, this man is literally training freedom fighters to rob, steal, and fight against sort of like white America. Like, was no one watching him?
Not closely, not at all.
He literally is like having classes, like
right.
And so I was very frustrated with that. I would have loved, like, if this were a series, a couple episodes, or throughout a few episodes, like how the CIA was tracking him and how he was smart enough to know that he had to sort of like couch things in a way so that it didn't raise any red flags. But the way it's presented here is very basic. Like, yep, we out here stealing. This is how you steal from Whitey. And those were the moments that I found the most audacious, because at one point, Dan tells the freedom fighters, like, you don't have to steal like what you're like, you don't have to go pickpocketing, because you can just get jobs as like janitors or housekeepers
And smile.
because to white people, we're invisible.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then we get a scene. I thought one of the more memorable scenes in the movie is this black man is like doing window cleaning, and he walks into this white man's office who's on the phone. And this man acts like he doesn't even know he's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this black man is literally stealing stuff from off this man's desk while he's sitting at it. And I thought, like, gosh, like, imagine if this were done today. And like just all the ways you could, like all the microaggressions and all the things that you could present. Then,
well, he's also teaching his battalion to make it look like they have track marks, because if they ever get arrested for, you know, these kind of high profile heists that are happening, they'll never be suspected because the police don't think they won't think a black drug addict would be capable.
Right. And the police don't want to deal with drug addicts anyway.
Right.
So yeah, even that is like, gosh, there's so many good nuggets in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the biggest disappointment is that I felt like, while it's very obviously sort of like black militancy against like white majority, and obviously racism built into that, but there's so much that it's not saying. And also I never got a sense of what Dan Freeman thought the freedom fighters were going to achieve, except that he's like, I'm giving you the tools, but like the tools to do what? Like, what's the plan, man?
Mm-hmm. Well, so, I guess to subvert the status quo.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
At Sephora, we've got what you want, because you're obsessed with your skin, and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
Sure, but again, I wonder if in the book there's more, because I think the book was also considered quite controversial. Yes. Mm-hmm. And maybe because I haven't read the book, but I wonder if the book has more of like a plan. Like a plan.
That's clear, yeah.
Because what's that book that isn't, well, actually, like the order.
Like in the order.
That one white supremacist book. Mm-hmm. What is it called?
I don't know. It's some man's name.
Now I need to know.
For some reason, I'm thinking Martin Eden, but that's a Jack London novel.
No, what's that damn book?
I don't remember, but
the Turner Diaries.
Yes.
It's almost like, I wonder if it's like the Turner Diaries, where it's like, you know, there's kind of a plan in here for y'all to. Mm-hmm. I think that would be subversive to remake this now and actually. And I have to acknowledge that probably trying to get this movie made back then, and knowing that it probably would be met with resistance, maybe they felt like they couldn't go ham.
Well, not only was it met with resistance, they tried to erase it.
But in today's climate, I feel like trying to do what I'm suggesting would probably also get them in trouble, because, you know, clearly nowadays people are actively trying to put us
back in the closet.
Trying to be careful with how I choose my words, but so provocative, thoughtful, edgy, but just not very well put together.
No, I think the biggest misstep is like pinpointing that they're supposedly monitoring him in Chicago, because they say so many outrageous things when he's a candidate, when he's applying for this CIA position. They're like, what was Mr. Freeman doing on the weekend? Oh, he spent his weekend in the ghetto. And somebody else says, oh, he went to college. Oh, he how do you do that? An athletic scholarship? And some other man's like, well, that figures.
It's just unbelievable that they never so they didn't watch him at all. Like, I mean, he just
Well, and then when they realize that someone is training these black men in Chicago,
they think
it's a Russian spy.
they think there's a Russian mole
Yeah.
training these black men. So I just thought that there's so much missing, but
And then I think it drops the ball on the subplots involving the two women with whom Lawrence Cook's character is involved with. One of them is this woman he's, I think, kind of engaged to.
his girlfriend
in DC, and she leaves him for a
who
doctor.
I thought looked like if you mixed Tisha Campbell and Solange.
She
was very pretty.
I was getting Tisha a lot, yeah.
And then he's also hanging out with this prostitute.
Yeah, he meets this prostitute, and then she's played by Paula Kelly, who you know from
One of the lesbians from the Women of Brewster Place.
Yeah, amongst many other things. But
who looks really good.
She looked really good, but she's credited as a character named Dahomey Queen, which I think is funny considering Matty Diop's documentary Dahomey about the African kingdom and the returned artifacts that were plundered from them centuries prior. But Lawrence Cook, he takes this sex worker, and she's very beautiful, and he tells her that she looks like a woman from Dahomey, and she's like, "What's that?"
She's getting annoyed because it's like, well, first he says, well, how much are you, to pay for sex? And she goes, well, it's $15 plus $5 for the hotel. $20 in what year is this?
73.
So $20 in 1973. Oh, it's like $144.
That's a lot.
That's for sex and a hotel. That seems kind of reasonable. Now, don't nobody ask me for $144 for sex.
No.
But, I mean, it seems,
well, she should get paid her worth, yes. But it just seems
she should certainly get paid what she thinks.
But I mean, Lawrence Cook is a decent looking man. Like, I'm sure he could find something for free. But, when time is of the essence. But so she's approached by the CIA to see, like, what does he talk about? Did he tell you what he does? And then she later ends up being with one of those the heads of that agency, because she comes back to warn him in Chicago.
Well, I was going to get back to him talking about Dahomey and she gets annoyed with him and says, why don't you just be a trick and stop talking all that shit about kings and queens? And then he's telling her about her hair, and she's getting annoyed. Like, if you want to be a hairdresser, I can get you a boy.
Right.
Like implying that, are you gay?
Right.
You keep talking about how I look like this. Okay. There's a scene before Dan graduates from the CIA training program where it's like his final thing is to meet with this martial arts trainer, this white man who's being real racist.
Yep.
And basically telling him, like, just give up now. There's no way you're gonna beat me. You're not gonna pass. Like, just save yourself the embarrassment. So it's very satisfying when Dan whoops his ass.
It is. A scene that from a new movie that I was reminded of was Mickey 17.
17. What scene was that?
With Robert Pattinson you're volunteering yourself. Like, everybody, like, nobody wants this job. You better just give up. And we're going to treat you like you're subhuman when you get here anyway.
Well, and the other fun part of it is that this white man is the trainer, but then there's this Asian man who's there. So I'm assuming the Asian man trained him. And then after that white man gets his ass whooped, the Asian man is trying to make sure he's still alive.
That white man was not in fighting form. I don't know who he thought he was, but okay.
Okay, there's one of the freedom fighter, Cobra gang members who turns freedom fighter is this. I thought he was white.
I thought he was too.
But he says he's black. And I thought that was again, I could see
Rachel Dolezal.
Well, if you're being funny, but I was thinking if this were done today and it had room to breathe, in a series, I think, because we also don't get much of a sense of what white America thought of this. I mean, the assumption is that they're against blacks and being
black
equal.
power.
Well, because we even get a moment where I believe it's Dan's boss talking to him about how blacks will maybe one day evolve to a place where they can have equal opportunities. Telling this to the black man who just completed a training program and graduated, demonstrating that he is equal.
Exactly, but your race
we don't
isn't
need,
ready for
we
it.
don't need
Like,
to evolve. We're here. We've been here. We've been here. So I thought, like, it was those moments that I really thought were so effective, and I just wanted more of that. Like,
I wanted more catharsis.
I think for how provocative the subject matter is, I just wanted this movie to be more in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I guess, for 1973, like clearly it ruffled feathers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but that white kid saying he's black, I thought was funny.
Oh God, his poor little facial hair. Like, girl, you need to just shave that on off. But yeah, he was passing though, right? And he had chosen his actual identity rather than passing for white.
Okay, another character I didn't mention is Dan Freeman has a friend who's a cop.
Oh yeah, so J.A. Preston. I think they were childhood friends. And Mr. Preston is a character actor in tons of stuff. We recently rewatched A Few Good Men. He's the judge in that.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
But they have an interesting relationship because they're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. Because the friend who's the cop, he's more like.
Well, when you're talking about Uncle Tom's, right?
Right. He's more like, well, we should do what they tell us to do and follow the rules. And now, because when we first meet Dan Freeman, he is, of course, like a company man. And then he turns militant. But at one point, they're in the car talking. And Dan's getting real hype. And his friend's like, I haven't heard you talk like that since we were in college. So I thought that was also like, there are just so many aspects of the story that I feel like could have been expounded on. Like these two black men who maybe at a point sort of had similar views of maybe how like black liberation should
what's kind of Black Panther, right?
Progress, and then how they kind of diverted.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a glimpse of that in just the essence of who these characters are. But I would have loved to have seen that friendship and how it had evolved over the years. J.A.
Preston in the 70s, he needed a shaft role like Richard Roundtree, and he could have, I think, been more than a character actor at some point. Like he needed to have a role like that around then.
At one point, the Black freedom fighters blow up the Chicago mayor's office. And then I forget there's this white man who they drug him, put him in blackface, and then
he's this corporal. He's supposed to be shutting down the black uprising in the city.
Yeah, so they drug him, and it also seems like there's like been rioting in the streets or damage in the streets, and they drug him, put him in blackface, and they put him on like one of those tricycles that reminded me of that Jigsaw saw puppet.
They drug him with acid.
That was pretty good.
And then he's riding around the street, and he tells some of his cohorts, I met some fabulous N-words, and then somebody shoots him from the rooftop.
He says, I just met the most marvelous bunch of N-words.
Yes.
I thought that scene was kind of magical.
Oh my, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The more I'm talking about it, there are just so many gems.
There's so many interesting. One of the character named Pretty Willie is played by a guy named David Lemieux, who's actually a Black Panther, and I think he went on to work for a police force somewhere.
There's an interesting scene where the government officials and law enforcement are trying to figure out what to do, and one of them suggests, why don't we shut down the ghetto?
They say they shut down the ghetto for 3 days, and they're like, it shut Chicago down because all the black people do the service work and they couldn't get to work.
Well, someone suggests like, why don't we shut down the ghetto? And then someone else says, we tried that, but we didn't realize how reliant everyone is on coloreds. So it's like, yeah.
You idiots.
Oh gosh, Did this film leave me wanting more? Yes, which isn't always a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It just made me so hungry for like, oh, what if someone redid this as a series and just like what would happen if?
Well, Spike Lee, instead of remaking Kurosawa, which is what he's doing, not that he can and shouldn't, like if Spike Lee's going to sit on some remakes, but because this feels very much like a precursor to Spike Lee.
Sure.
And
it feels prescient.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah. Well, because you could switch it up a little bit, and what if like
Yeah, I think
You know,
it's worth an update.
what if the next president is this like Republican black man who seems like very like, you know, palatable to
a
everyone.
Manchurian candidate?
And then when that motherfucker, or excuse me, we're not on Patreon. When he gets in office, he switches it up. But not unlike this story. Like I could see that being a fun movie.
But you know, the title even, I don't think people understand the gravity of what spook means. I don't know that it, just like Uncle Tom's. I don't know that young people kind of recognize what is meant when those words are being thrown around.
Or just symbolically, like what the title means. Like, so you have this black man literally sitting by the door at the CIA office to show like, look, we got one. So give us a break.
But he's actually a spy. He's actually an infiltrator. And you know, it also reminds me that the John Le Carré spy titles like The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, The Spy Who Loved Me. It evokes that too. But of course, that was from a different period as well.
Well, what would you give The Spook Who Sat by the Door?
I think it's really daring, and it is a little on the dull side, but you know, almost every bit of dialogue is really hitting on something meaningful. Like it is pregnant with meaning.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give it 3.5.
I would recommend watching it. It's available on YouTube, like the full movie.
I mean, I had a copy on DVD. That's not a good copy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been better quality on YouTube.
Probably.
Maybe. But I would highly recommend it. There are a lot of deficiencies, but like you said, it is pregnant with just a lot of provocation.
Pregnant with the seeds of rebellion.
And it feels so timely.
And you know what? He has Mr. Freeman has a line. It's a simple line, but I like towards the end where he tells his colleagues, "Don't quit until you win or you die."
My score, though.
Your score. Sorry.
Is 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Next week, I think.
Sinners! I cannot wait. I've not been this excited for a studio film in a long time.
We're seeing Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing The Accountant 2.
The Accountant 2, The Ugly Stepsister, which I'm excited for. The Wedding Banquet, which is a remake of the classic Ang Lee film.
I will tell people that for Patreon, we're going to review The Accountant.
Yes.
To prepare for The Accountant 2, because I haven't seen it.
Oh my God.
And that's actually going to be Nick's paid selection, which he donates for free.
It is. I actually put off a Fellini film I wanted to watch so we could do this.
So for people who don't follow us on Patreon, you should follow us on Patreon. You can follow for free. And every once in a while, we'll make one of the posts available to everyone. And it's usually the post that Nick pays for.
Yes.
So if you sign up for Patreon for free, you'll get to hear our review of The Accountant. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Not at this moment, no.
All right, ta-ta.